Welcome back to the Real Estate Jam session. You ever heard that saying, mindset is everything? And how about my favorite second one, your network is your net worth. I love both of those. Actually, we're going to talk about them both today. I've got Darren Jacklin coming on the show today. Darren is an investor. He invests in several companies. He also sits on the board of many companies, one being eXp Realty. And so he has a lot of insight for us. We're going to talk about how to cultivate an abundant mindset to create an abundant life, and also on who we should really focus on when we're networking. So if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Joe Killinger. I'm a real estate entrepreneur. I've done startups, real estate investments, real estate brokerage, and I use this platform to really tell you everything that's worked well for me and the failures that we've had. And I also ask my guests to walk us through some of their successes and some of their failures to kind of give you a path that'll make it a little bit easier to your success as a real estate investor or agent. So if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe. We put these videos out every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. PST. Make sure you check in with us and enjoy. All right, today I'm talking with Darren Jacklin. Darren and I are going to be talking about how to cultivate an abundant mindset to create abundant life. And Darren, first of all, thank you for coming on today.
Grateful to be here.
I did kind of a deep dive last night into this. And, I really think this abundant mindset is something that it's very powerful. And I think you were seeing real estate really lean that way, both commercial and residential. And I think it's something that's key. And so I guess I'm going to let you kind of break down what an abundant mindset is, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, for me, abundant mindset is I never used to have an abundant mindset growing up. So I came from a lack and scarcity mindset. So I'll give you some practical examples. When we go into a restaurant and we sit down to order a meal in a restaurant, or we're in a fast food restaurant, we're looking at the menu board. And the first thing we look at is we read the menu from right to left. How much do things cost? And then based on what they cost is what we order. And then they ask you for the upsell. Do you want fries with that? Do you want guacamole? And then you're like, oh, it's an extra $1 or $2 when you're at Subway. You want the guacamole on your sub at Subway, but it's an extra $1. And your mindset thinks. So that comes from a lack and scarcity mindset. Pulling up to the gas station and looking at how much regular gas, is in terms of gas prices. When you go places to a sporting event, you're like, oh, I'm going to go to this professional sporting event, but I got to pay a lot of money for this concert or sporting event for the tickets to, park in underground parking. You pull up to a hotel and they offer you, do you want valet parking? Like, how much is valet parking? No, I'll go park that. So the key thing is, abundance mindset is realizing that we do not have money problems in life. We only have thinking problems in life. There is no lack of financial capital on this planet. In fact, everybody has money problems. I've had a chance to work with the most impoverished people in third world countries on this planet. I also work with some of the wealthiest families and individuals on this planet globally. And I've had lunches and dinners with all these different people from all walks of humanity. And I can be sitting with a multi-billionaire having a breakfast, lunch, or dinner with him and his family, or her and her family, and they will talk about a tax problem they've got. They will talk that they want to buy this company, or acquire this company, or buy this real estate to create a national park and donate to the government to help protect the forest and the land. And they need to raise X amount of dollars. So the key thing is the fastest way to shift the mindset from a lack and scarcity mindset is to go out and be in service to people. When we realize that opportunities live inside of conversations, anything that you really want in your life is going to come from strangers. Strangers have everything we want, everything we need, everything we desire in our lives, because as human beings, all we are is a network of conversations. Mm-hmm. So when I share with people in companies, and I own a number of companies, I'm partners in a number of companies, what I share is that when we metric things in terms of KPIs, key performance indicators, in terms of sales targets, I have our sales teams metric what we call conversations. How many conversations did you have on the telephone today, through social media, on the street, at a trade show, at a conference, on an airplane, at a train station? How many conversations? Because conversations lead to opportunity zones. And that's a different mindset. And so when we look at things, is that we always say, well, I can't afford that. Oh my gosh, I'd like to buy that new car, live in that neighborhood, but I can't afford that. when I travel, and I've had a chance to go to 50 countries now in 4 continents, and I built a very successful over the years, 25 years of corporate training business, the mindset I always had was, I get paid to travel the world and do what I love and love what I do. I get paid to travel the world, do what I love and love what I do. So rather than saying, how can I afford that? Say, how can I pay that? So for example, I've never been to college, university. I'm self-taught. But whenever I study something, I'm like, how can I get paid to teach other people this?
Yeah.
So people that are up and coming, going to college, universities, rather than saying, I want to take all this student loan debt and be in debt for 10 years after I graduate, how can I mentor and tutor students? So you might go to school in college, university, and in the evenings, 1 or 2 or 3 days a week on Zoom video conferencing or some virtual platform, you've got a couple local or international students that you're mentoring and coaching. You're only a couple chapters ahead of those students, and you're trained developing those students and mentoring those students, but you're getting compensated for that. So it's a fair means of exchange. So you're getting paid to teach other people stuff that you've already learned, because Dr. Stephen Covey wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the things that Dr. Covey always talked about was the best way to learn things is to teach it to other people. So if you're in school today, or you're going to school and you want to, get paid for that, then just be a couple chapters ahead of everybody. That's what I've always done. There's things that I've, in corporate training days, I would go out and train people that I was only a couple chapters ahead of everybody else, but I applied the information and I got paid for it. So the key thing is not how do I, afford a vacation? How do I get paid to take a vacation, right? If people want to travel, right? They want to go someplace. How can I get paid to do that? It's a mindset of how do I get paid to do that? Because there's no lack of money in the world. We get paid to solve a problem. Fastest way to solve people's problems. That's why we have dentists. That's why we have chiropractors and plumbers and massage therapists. They're solving problems for people.
Can you explain attorneys then?
Well, attorneys are great because attorneys mitigate risk and liability. They want to mitigate exposure to risk and liability. Now, and there's a lot of things, and I work also in the artificial intelligence industry, and there's a lot of things that are repetitive with templates in the legal industry that over the next 5 years, there's going to be some changes in that industry, some disruption and some evolution.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to now, you've had a lot of big success. I'm going to touch on that here in a little bit. But what triggered you? What made you think, okay, abundant mindset? What was the trigger you said, I want to focus on this?
I've had a lot of adversities and failures. I've been financially flat broke a few times. Living here in Canada, I had an R9 credit rating for a period of time, which is the worst case scenario you can get for a credit score. I've been there in the restaurant where my credit card declines or my debit card declines. And I know that feeling and that anxiety,
panic.
Right? And I just got sick and tired of it. And I realized, I'm almost 50 years of age. I'll be 50 this year. I realized when I turned 40 and I still didn't have a lot saved, I said, you know what, in my 40s, I'm going to dedicate my 40s to getting my money right. I'm going to study wealth building. I'm going to study people. And it was never about the money. I just wanted to be in integrity with my finance because I was so out of integrity with my money. Number one, I had a lack of integrity. And number two was I didn't want the stress and the anxiety because I didn't want money to get away of how I wanted to serve humanity on my mission. People always say I'm super successful. I just say I'm a man, I'm on a mission. I'm just on a mission of what I want to accomplish in my life as a mission. And so for me, what I realized in my life was that, okay, I got to get my money right. I got to get my own house taken in order. And I got to start to model and study other successful people on how to do that. And that was the key thing. And so I realized with my own mindset of abundance was that I had such a lack of scarcity mindset of thinking that I never, like when I met Jim Rohn many years ago, Jim Rohn was one of my mentors before he passed away in December of 2009. And Jim taught me about happiness. I never realized if you really want to be happy, you go study happiness. You study happy people. There's daily habits and daily routines that they do throughout the waking hours of their day. And so when we want to come from abundance and prosperity, you got to get around people who already have an abundance and prosperity mindset, but also does their life demonstrate abundance and prosperity? Because there's people out there who can coach and mentor you and teach you, and you can watch TED Talks and YouTube videos and research on the internet. But the question is to qualify people as part of your discovery and due diligence, does people's lives demonstrate? So if you followed me around for a week and hired a video crew to follow me around and do a documentary, you would see evidence everywhere in my life, personally, professionally, that I live from abundance and prosperity because my life demonstrates it.
Well, I think it's also, you have to recognize the power of your thoughts.
Yes.
If you're thinking positive thoughts, more positive things, more things come in. If you're having negative thoughts, you tend to shut down, right?
Yeah. Another thing what I do is I have, like I write out, I have daily affirmations that I read every day. When I'm in the shower, when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm shaving. So I have that repetitiveness. I also write in my daily journal. I have a journal. So I write up I don't call them goals or dreams. I call them personal promises to myself, because then it's personalized here in my heart. So I have every day I know where I'm going. I also carry with me wherever I go. I carry my personal promises with myself.
Okay.
So I could be out hiking out in the wilderness. If you stop me on a hiking trail and said, "Hey, Darren, show me your personal promises," I would open up my backpack and show you my personal promises. And I read them multiple times throughout the day. So I'm always know where I'm going. And a lot of times, if you ask people, what is it you really, really, really want in your life? The number one consistent answer is, I don't know. 9 out of 10 people, if you ask them randomly on the street, what is it you really, really want in your life? 9 out of 10 people will not have any direction or focus or clarity on what is it they really, really want.
Yeah. Another one was that I found to be practice gratitude.
Yes.
It's really not that hard. Sometimes we make it a little more complicated.
Well, and the key thing is waking up every morning. I wake up, I thank all my vital organs for
Yeah.
all the work that they do. I thank my heart. I thank my kidneys. I thank my lungs.
Yeah.
I thank all my vital organs, my eyes, my ears, my nose, my stomach, my breath, all that stuff. I give thanks of gratitude, and I count in my blessings, because they're always working. Like, what happens if your kidney quits? What happens if your heart quits? Like, we just like a mechanic in a vehicle, we just think, oh, we got this meat suit, but it's really being grateful. Like, if you just close your eyes for 24 hours and just notice how hard it is to function. I got just 48 hours ago, I got my booster shot for the COVID-19 vaccine here in my arm. And yesterday, my left arm, I could hardly move my arm. And I realized, wow, just in 24 hours, how much I use that arm for things just every day repetitively. And now I'm having challenges using that arm. Wow. And I just sent love and gratitude and appreciation to my arm for everything it does in a day. And people think that's woo-woo, but it really works. When you walk out there in public and you have a gratitude and you count your blessings, you send a different vibration, energy, frequency out there to people magnetically.
I agree.
Into you.
Yeah. We talked about this earlier, but this is one that really got me, was when I was reading this last night, is think like a beginner.
Yes.
I think as we get into business, be it real estate or I guess any other business, we've been doing this for a while and we think we know what won't work. Well, our business, I'm in commercial real estate investments, it's evolved a lot the last few years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so maybe I need to take a step back and start thinking like a beginner again and try stuff over again that didn't work in the past, because now it might work. And so that kind of hit home with me. Like, man, that's not just a business lesson. That's kind of a life lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might even have a focus group where you with commercial real estate for many years, you go sit down with a bunch of university or college students or people who've just graduated from high school, and you sit down with 4 or 5 or 6 people, either in person or virtually online, and say, what is it you know about commercial real estate? What is it you understand and don't understand about commercial real estate? And you go back to basics and realizing, where are they confused? Where do they have clarity? Where do they have misunderstanding? Where do they have understanding? And you do things like that. And that's a great way to always ask people, right? Because you can get tremendous feedback from people all the time, right? Yeah. Always be asking people, hey, what do you know about my brand? What do you know about what I do? Mm-hmm. And you ask you from the outside looking in. I always ask people, I'll send a text message out to 25 people and I'll say, they're in my phone. I'll say, what do you think my top 3 skills are from your observation? And out of the 25 people, I might get 11 or 13 people out of the 25 that will respond. Not everybody responds, and maybe higher or lower. And you'd be surprised when you just take, 30 minutes and just send out 25 texts, cut and paste them, what feedback you get from people that are in your cell phone of how they perceive you. What do you think my greatest strengths are? What do you think my greatest weaknesses are? If you could look at me, what's my biggest blind spot in my life that I'm not seeing? What do you see as my biggest blind spot? What's my biggest drawback? What's my biggest gift? What's my biggest strength in my life? And you let people that are in your network give you feedback. It's valuable information.
Oh yeah, and you can't take, you can take it personal, I guess, but because you need to listen to it. But if you're going to get people that, I even do it when people make comments on some of our social posts, I look at it and analyze it. Some of them are just being assholes, right? Yeah. They just want to, but sometimes I've learned from them, well, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. And I respond back to everybody most of the time. not everybody. Some of them aren't worth. But yeah, you take that and you can really grow from it.
You can, absolutely.
You can learn from those comments.
Because you're always getting feedback, right?
Yeah.
And the key thing is feedback is very helpful and very healthy. When I last year in 2021, we were during the COVID-19 lockdown, I was weighing 218 pounds. And on February the 1st of 2021, actually it was start January 28th of February 2021, I was brushing my teeth and I realized, man, I've got to take care of my health. I'm out of integrity on my health. This is unacceptable. I'm treating my body like a woodshed, not like a temple. Right. And so I talked to Tatiana, my partner, afterwards. I said, I need to have a strategy here. And so on February the 1st of 2021, I reached out to a couple of people and we created a private WhatsApp channel. And these people are more advanced, more experienced in hiking than I am here in Vancouver, Canada. And so I said, I got to pull myself out there and go hiking. So I started getting out there and man, I would stop and go. And I struggled and I was out of breath and I only had jeans and a t-shirt and I didn't have the right hiking gear, nothing. I wasn't set up for nothing. Right. Yeah. And today I lead groups and hike some of the biggest mountains here in Canada, just in 1 year. And I'm down 32 pounds in weight. And I have incredible, and now I'm addicted and obsessed to hiking. And now I even do night hiking. So I turned something I had no idea into doing to something I really enjoy doing now and obsessed with it. But also I've released weight and it fits my hierarchy of values of what's most important to me. And it's going back to doing something new, right? Yeah. It's like if you would have told me 2 years ago, hey, Darren, you're going to go out and climb these big mountains. I'm like, yeah, right. That I don't even make sense. That didn't make sense to me what you're talking about. Like, I don't even relate to that. And now I'm like, what next big mountain can I climb? Because it's a metaphor to me in business. Because when you climb the mountain, because you're going to beat the mountain or the mountain's going to beat you, but somebody's going to win. So if you can overcome that adversity of climbing that mountain, what can you do in your life or in business?
But you also surrounded yourself with the right people for that.
Yes.
And that's one thing I think a lot of people is, you have to really focus on surrounding yourself with people that are good people.
Absolutely. Well, years ago in my 20s, I was flat broke financially. And I went and met with one of my mentors one day. He was a very successful man. And he said to me, Darren, I want you to write down on the napkin here in the restaurant. We're in a pantry restaurant. He goes, who are your top 5 closest friends that are in your life that you spend the most amount of time with? And I wrote down their names and I handed it to him and he looks at it and he goes, you're the sum total of the 5 people you spend time with in your inner circle. And he goes, I can probably tell you within a few $100s what your financial bank balance is. And he said to me, Darren, if you hang out with 4 or 5 broke friends, you'll become the 5th or 6th friend. And all my friends were all financially broke, just like me. We used to borrow money off of each other. And he goes, when you change your associations, you will change your life or your lifestyle. Yeah. And it was so interesting. Like in my life today, just with my health, my finances, fitness, everything in business, when you're getting around people who are leveling you up and skilling you up. I have a team of women that work with me in my group of companies. And I learned years ago from Mr. Wonderful, from Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, Kevin Leary. Kevin Leary told me years ago, I met him on the street here in Vancouver at a private event. And Kevin told me behind the scenes in his group of companies that he has a whole bunch of women and men, but a lot of women that run their day-to-day operations. And I'm like, wow. And because women have a very strong sense of integrity and they don't embellish things and men are great people, but men and women are great. So I have a strong core of people that look out for me and protect me and hold me so I'm always in integrity. Because without integrity, nothing works. Because time will either promote us or time will expose us. It's just a matter of time where we get promoted or we get exposed. And that's why when it comes to daily habits and daily routines, when I always say to people, because I grew up with a learning disability where I didn't learn how to read or write. I struggle with that because I was in special education from grade 1 to grade 12. I never went to normal school. And so I struggled with a learning disability and a reading disability. And I learned at a young age from a gentleman I met, an older guy, became a mentor of mine. He said, Darren, if you just focus on reading 10 pages a day of a good book that will expand and elevate your life. He goes, is reading 10 pages easy to do? And I said, yes, sir. Reading 10 pages not easy to do? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, that's the difference. It's easy to do and it's easy not to do. Going on the floor and doing 10 push-ups a day is easy to do for the majority of people. It's also easy not to do. And that's the difference. Yeah. So we consistently do this over a period of time, because if you read 10 pages a day over 365 days in a year, that's 3,650 pages, which is 12 to 15 books a year cover to cover. But the cool thing about compounding is that you're not going to read 10 pages every day. Sometimes you might read 17 or 26 or 48 or 72 pages in a sit down, but compounded over 365 days, you're going to exceed your targets. And so you just do small, daily, consistent, actionable steps, consistently compounded over a period of time.
Yeah, firm believer. I try and read at least that every night. I have
Mhm.
several. I'm a big reader. Business biography, nothing exciting, but all business biographies have really picked up some good tips from them. And so I think it's key. Everybody
Yeah,
should read. One thing we were talking before we started recording was, in your companies, and I want to talk about this. And we're going to jump into the successes you've had,
sure.
because I think it's key to see what you're doing and how you're implementing this. Is you create a win-win situation for
Yes.
your investors, for your partners, and can you touch on that, please?
Sure. So we're doing a lot of acquisitions right now
Right.
in various different industries, cybersecurity, we're doing accounting, we're doing artificial intelligence. One of the things I learned from raising capital is always pay your investors back quickly.
Mhm.
So a lot of times people will get into speculative opportunities or startup companies with the accounting firms, for example, with Profitopia. We raise a lot of money to acquire companies, accounting firms across America, but we pay our investors back on the 15th day of each calendar month. We pay a monthly interest payment, right? And we pay annually 15% annual return over 1, 2, or 3 years. Because I learned from experience and from making mistakes that if you have an investor have to wait 1 or 2 or 3 years for their money, there's 3 types of money in life. There's calm money, cautious money, and nervous money. And if you pay back an investor every 30 days where there's a direct deposit in their bank account of an interest payment, all of a sudden they're very calm. But if you have to let them go 1 or 2 or 3 years, they become cautious. They watch everything you're doing. They want a monthly or quarterly or semi-annual report. They want updates, what you're doing a lot of times, right? Because they want to know what their money is doing. And you don't want to get investors to become nervous. So it's calm, cautious, and nervous money. So we always pay back in some of our opportunities, we pay back our investors within 30 days. Because once they're comfortable over 6 or 12 months and they see that consistent monthly distribution coming into their bank account, they've been like, wow, okay, we've got a consistent pattern here. Now they'll refer friends and family or other high net worth or ultra high net worth friends to your opportunity. So they become your internal sales force in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we do. Another thing we do with our staff with some of the companies is when we do surveys, we do a thing called NPS, Net Promoter Scores. It's a way we metric in terms of feedback from our employees. How are we doing? And we look at a whole overall metrics of this. And one of the things that we look at is when you survey and interview employees, full or part-time employees, you ask them, what is it that they could have more? What do they really want? Like, they're going to spend 2,000 hours approximately a year working with you. But what's something that they really want more in their lives? And consistently, the data comes back is that they want to spend more quality time with their family, their children, or their loved ones, people that matter most importantly in their lives, personally, professionally. So one of the things we look at with a lot of employees is what if we could hire a housekeeping company that's bonded and certified, insured, and it comes in twice a month, every 2 weeks, into the employee's house to house clean their home. So on average, it's about $1,500 per employee for the whole year over 12 months.
Right.
But think about it from an ownership perspective or an investor perspective. That's about it. We can get about a 10x return because successful people spend money to save time. Unsuccessful people waste time to save money.
Right.
If we can get them to buy back time, we then create happy employees, which then create happy families, which creates happy communities, which creates happy neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We change that culture of that family because now we have a dedicated employee realizing, wow, we've got his or her back. And we're now allowing them to buy back quality time to spend with themselves, with their children, with their spouse, their partner, significant other, or do some kind of hobby or some kind of community service or thing with values or matters most to them in their lives.
Sure.
So it's about $1,500 US per employee per year. But look what the return on investment is. And look at what you create is happy employees and a happy environment and a happy culture and a happy community. So it's little things that you can do because what gets rewarded gets acknowledged and appreciated, because if you take care of the people in your organization, they'll take care of the companies. So I'm obsessed with culture and core values of how do we create thriving, high impactful teams, high performance teams. And so you always look at what matters most to them in their lives, and then you find ways to create opportunity zones to serve those people and make a difference in their lives. And they create buy-in.
Cool.
It's very powerful.
That's very cool. Now, Darren, can you tell us a little bit about some of the companies you're involved with right now?
Yeah, so one of the big companies, it's a global company in many countries around the world, is EXP Realty, EXP World Holdings. I serve as an independent board of directors of that company. We're publicly traded on NASDAQ. I've been around since 2013 in that company. We're a multi-billion-dollar company. We're at the time of this interview, we have 71,000 licensed agents in 18 countries on 5 continents. You can find us on NASDAQ under EXPI. Great company. So I'm involved with EXP. Another company I'm involved with on the board of directors is a company called Orvest. We're in the U.S. commercial office space, medical office space business. So across the United States of America, if you go into big cities like Atlanta or Phoenix, you'll see the medical parks, you see the big high-rise buildings with all the specialized medical people. We own a lot of the real estate in those different cities. So I serve as an independent director of that company. We got about $350 million in assets under management. Another company I serve on the board of directors with is a company called Vocodia. We're in the artificial intelligence space. I'm also an investor in that. I'm also investors in all these companies as well. We're in the artificial intelligence space, so call center management. So I'll give you a quick example. When you call a toll-free number, you call an airline, and you're on hold for several minutes, or you call a government agency and you're like, your wait time is 47 minutes. You get frustrated, you get impatient, like, oh, I got to wait 47 minutes to talk to a customer service representative. So what we're doing is we're actually evolutionizing the call center management industry by having a artificial intelligence to actually replace the call wait time. So I do that. And then another company I serve with out of Chicago is called Reach Out IT. We're in the cybersecurity space. During the Trump and Biden election, our team was at the White House in the US advising the White House on cybersecurity. And so we work with some high-level cybersecurity stuff across the United States with protecting companies. And then I'm involved with another company that I'm a partner in called Profitopia. We're based in Tucson, Arizona, and we're a national virtual accounting company. We're doing a lot of acquisitions right now. So we have licensed CPAs, we have bookkeepers, we have tax people, and we solve people's problems. I don't myself, I'm more the visionary with that.
Sure.
But we're growing that company. We started a year ago. We did 1.5 million in revenue our first year. So we broke the mark of, only 4% of companies in the world do over $1 million a year in revenue. And over the next 36 months, our target is to build it to a $15 million company. And then we'll keep growing it, or we'll be acquired. And so I'm very good at growth and advisory, where I'm good at bringing in teams with their history and experience, like-minded people, and then grow and scale those companies. I'm very good at adding additional revenue streams through ancillary services or monthly recurring revenue. And then we just grow and scale these companies. So
busy.
Yeah. And then we have our own family foundation. We've committed $100 million over the next decade towards global philanthropy. We've created through Link Foundation. Tatiana in 2019, Tatiana's the love of my life. She was a teacher for 35 years, a high school teacher. So she has a strong academic background with 3 academic degrees. She's bilingual in French and English language. So she runs all the day-to-day operations of the foundation with a strong, dedicated team of men and women. And we're actually building schools right now over in Africa, across the African continent. We have our first school right now in Liberia, West Africa, called the Link Leadership Academy. And we give kids an education that would never have an education in a village. We decrease human and child sex trafficking chances of those kids being abducted for child and human sex trafficking and organ harvesting and child prostitution. And we provide education, and we make a difference to these kids. We also mitigate and decrease children or teenagers' child pregnancies as well, because a lot of these children in these villages by 11, 12, 13 years of age are having their first children. And some of these kids by 16 years of age, they'll have 3 children by 16, and they'll bury their first child by 16. So they'll have 3 children, but one of their children will be deceased by the age of 16. So we're putting a dent in that to disrupt that and slow that down through education and making a difference with our schools and our foundation.
Darren, all that going on, how do you create an abundant mindset in all those companies? As an executive coming in, what steps do I need to do to create the proper mindset?
First thing is to qualify and protect your time. So you want to look at, your hierarchy of values of what you value most in your life, and you work on that. So the abundance mindset is that the biggest thing is you got to protect and qualify your time. When you get a lot of, like with EXP World Holdings, we're a fast growing global company. We're a multi-billion-dollar company. And we get a lot of visibility, a lot of attention. The cybersecurity company gets a lot of visibility and attention. Artificial intelligence gets a lot of visibility and attention. So you get people all the time, invitations, requests, demands for all kinds of stuff. And so to come from abundance mindset is you've got to, first of all, protect and qualify your time. And you got to look at what's the best and highest use of your time during the waking hours of your day. Because if you don't protect and qualify your time, you're going to struggle with coming from abundance mindset, because you're going to be depleted. Like I have high energy because I exercise every day. I drink a lot of water. I have healthy relationships with people. I have a great inner circle. I have great coaches and mentors and mastermind groups around me. I take nutritional supplements. All that stuff all factors into what I do in terms of my self-care and my well-being, right?
Sure.
So that's so important to have abundance mindset. And then also too, to surround yourself with a positive environment. So like if you look over on the back wall here, I'll show you, I have a must meet list. So I have, 100 people in my life that I want to meet. So this is an actual must meet list of 100 people around the world, because I want to be around global leaders. I want to be around global people that are making a global impact. So some of these men and women are Nobel Peace Prize winners, they're Olympic athletes, they're celebrities, movie stars, billionaires, entrepreneurs, various different people from all walks of humanity. So I'm always thinking how I can meet those men and women. So one of the things about an abundance mindset is, reading every day. I study every day. I spend about 2 hours every day. Now, I didn't start with 2 hours a day. I started with 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And then over the last few years, I worked myself up to a consistent habit of doing 2 hours a day of personal professional development. So reading, studying, listening to audiobooks, podcasts, talking to people, having conversations. I was on a call this morning at 4:00 this morning to Singapore with a private mastermind group I belong to, because the time zone difference. But I'm committed. The key thing is commit to your commitments.
Yeah.
The key thing
and
is
find people that will in your organization. Find people with the same kind of mindset, I think, too, right?
Well, because a lot of times, we hear in business that talk is cheap. I think a lot of people cheapen their talk. I struggled when I grew up with a lot of self-confidence. I was very insecure, had a very low self-image of myself in my younger days, in my early 20s, even 30s. And what I realized through a lot of training and development was how I built my self-image and my self-confidence was committing to my commitments, so whatever I give my word to, I'm going to do my laundry today. I'm going to run some errands. I'm going to clean up my house. I'm going to go grocery shopping, whatever it is. When you say you're going to do something, you follow through and complete it. Always do complete work. And so like I have an iPhone and I'm always on time for meetings. It's one thing to me, early is on time. I'm obsessed with being that because of integrity. So what I do is every day with my calendar, I have alarms set up for my calendars. So I can be fully present in a conversation with you, and my alarm will either go off audibly or vibrationally to notify me that I need to pivot to the next meeting.
Right.
So I'm always intentionally on time, because think about this for a moment. You have a dinner party and you're going to invite some guests on your guest list, and you're going through your guest list who you want to invite. You're thinking, okay, if I send an invitation to this person, I don't know if they're going to show up. If I send an invitation to this person, I'm going to have to follow up with them 3 or 4 or 5 times. If I send an invitation to this one person, just one contact with them, one connection, they'll put in their calendar and they'll be there. And if something happens unexpectedly, they'll let me know in advance they can't come because of something's going on.
Yeah.
So I wanted to develop because success is not something we go out in the world to pursue. Success is something we attract into our lives by the person that we become. So how do we become a more attractive, more successful, more magnetic person? It's what we do in terms of our daily operation, like our daily habits, our daily routines. So I want to be known as a person that when I walk into a room, who shows up? Integrity shows up. Reliability shows up. Trustworthy shows up. Because I want to be that person of trustability. Because in my earlier days, I wasn't somebody you would trust. Because I was flaky. I was all over the place. I was chasing shiny objects. I was inconsistent.
Yeah, that goes with youth.
Yeah. So I was, doing all this stuff. And so I realized as I got older, how do I develop trustability?
Right.
That when people work with me, when people meet me, when people see me, they're like, I trust that. I trust that person so much. Like you and I don't know if you have any children, but you're like, man, I just met Darren, but Darren's the type of guy that if I went away for 2 weeks, I'd leave it with my key. If I had to go on an international business trip, I had somebody take care of my family, my kids, my bank accounts, my vehicle. I could leave Darren with my house key, my wife, and my kids, and I could go on an international business trip and come back, and he'd run it or even run it better than I do.
Yeah.
So that's the reputation and integrity that I want to have. That when somebody sees me, that they like, boom, like this guy is the real deal. And that's what you learn. And because your life demonstrates it.
Yeah.
And that's how and that's why I've been successful at building companies and working with teams and partners, is because I come in with that reputation. The Ted and I, we're a powerful couple. Why? Because we have strong levels of integrity. Our life demonstrates it, but also communication, collaboration, but also humbleness.
Right.
Because as you become more successful, people will put you on a pedestal, and sometimes they'll innocent and put themselves in a pit. So you always want to be humble. And so I don't spend very little time on social media. When people put stuff on social media, because most people end up buying their PR.
You're right.
And I don't do that. I don't, because then you get elated. I want to just remain humble and approachable and calm with anybody. So I can relate to anybody from any walk of life, from any background.
Yeah.
And I'm always approachable from people from all walks of humanity. And that's
it's important. It's important. And I think that's the true sign of success.
Absolutely.
It's not the car you drive. It's not, it's how you treat people. It's,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a firm believer.
Yeah.
Well, Darren, we went on quite a while. I didn't mean to take this much of your time. I apologize, but this is so great for our viewers.
I'm grateful to be
you
here.
For coming on today. And if you ever get down to LA, let's be in touch and go
Sure,
grab
I'd
a
love to.
coffee or something, or a juice.
Let's do it.
I keep my vitamin water close by, so it's not yet a green juice or something,
I got
right?
yeah. I got apple, celery, cucumber, kale, and ginger and lemon here, right here.
I think you did me there. That sounds pretty damn good. But Darren, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks. I'm grateful to be here and be in service and make a difference.
You bet. And for those of you watching, thank you for watching today. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe and please give us a like.